So the European season is now upon us as Freddie heads into Spain in the championship lead after overtaking Felipe Massa in the last race after sealing that win. A controversial ending, it has to be said. I'm not going to give anything away. If you want to go and watch the last episode, it will be down in the description below, or you can just click onto my channel. But I'm going to spoil it now. Basically, last time out, it was a pretty dull race, to be honest with you. Freddie dominating pretty much from start to finish until the final few laps where some rain came down and things got very interesting after the team let him out quite late, meaning that he had a battle with Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, had to fight his way through, and he went for a diving manoeuvre on the final lap on his teammate Sebastian Vettel, which caused a bit of a stir with the Ferrari team once again. The Ferrari team haven't been too impressed with Freddie's antics so far this season, but that's really not stopping him from performing too well, obviously in the lead of the Drivers' Championship, as I said, and obviously on that final lap, Lewis Hamilton also spun out, which basically gifted Freddie the race win, as Sebastian Vettel had that 20-second time penalty. And guys, just to let you know, today's episode in Spain is a lot more exciting. The racing is a lot better. Normally I have to give you an update on things, and it's really annoying me now, the fact that Codemasters have not announced anything to do with F1 2016, because it's really making this series at the moment and my life, well not my life for goodness sake, just the actual series and the organising of it all and what I'm going to do after, it's just making things really difficult with regards to the future of this series, because obviously it's looking more and more likely by the day that F1 2016 will be moved back to the original September-October launch. Obviously that hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but news doesn't really seem to be on its way. Knowing my luck, it's probably already been announced literally a couple of hours before this was released. So if that has happened, which it probably hasn't, then all of what I'm about to say is probably going to be a load of rubbish. But more or less, what's probably going to happen is that the season will just continue, but with the 19 races, because I could probably get the season finished over the summer, where I have a lot more time after exams and stuff. So hopefully I can get everything done and dusted by then, before F1 2016 comes out, because if it comes out in September, October, I'm not going to delay the series from Canada at the end of June all the way to beginning of September, so I can just use the Azerbaijan race in the series. I'm just going to put up with a 19 race season, unfortunately. I mean, I'll probably have to do a separate update at the beginning of the Monaco episode, because Comas will probably actually release some news by then, typically. But basically, to sum up what I've just said, it looks as if the future of the series will be continuing on F1 2014, obviously with all the mods that it currently has. It's going to be the same as it is at the moment, mainly obviously because F1 2016 hasn't actually been officially announced. There's been no launch day, and it's looking increasingly more likely that it will be released in September, October. So I'd rather sort of get the season done over the summer when I have a lot more time. And in regards to other uploads, guys, if any of you are still watching this little update, I would quite like some ideas in the comment section down below as to what I could do in the summer alongside this series. Obviously I'm not going to just do this series, that's a little bit lazy of me. Obviously at the moment I'm having to do this as my sole series because of exams and stuff, but I've had some people suggesting another last man standing challenge because people seem to be really enjoying them. Yeah, I'm sure I could probably do that at some point, but if you do have any other ideas, then do leave them down in the comment section below. I would like to do some collabs at some point, because I much prefer sort of editing live commentary videos and sort of challenge videos, ones where you can sort of have a laugh with your mates and stuff. They're a lot more fun to make and obviously edit, and hopefully you guys will enjoy watching them a lot more, so I'll see what I can do about that. And yeah, I've probably rambled on enough here. But anyway, guys, without further ado, let's get into round 5 of the Spanish Grand Prix for the qualifying report. With the teams implementing new upgrades onto their cars at the start of the European season, the pecking order remained unclear, and Spain brought about a surprising qualifying result. Red Bull had a horror show and would line up in 20th and 21st. Sistine Toro also endured similar difficulties and were hoping for a better in the race, while Renault's new exhaust upgrade had worked a treat with both cars landing top 10 grid positions. Another team to benefit were Manor, as Rio Haryanto got into Q3 for the first time this season. McLaren was still struggling, however they improved slightly in the Spanish Grand Prix qualifying. A similar story can be said at Sauber after an uninspiring display. Haas seems to be gaining a middle-of-the-road reputation in another unspectacular performance. Force India and Williams were the top performers in qualifying, both comfortably securing front of the field grid positions. Due to an incident at the end of the Russian Grand Prix, Freddie Gray was awarded a back of grid penalty with teammate Sebastian Vettel on the front row. Lewis Hamilton once again sealed pole position as he was aiming to collect his first race win of the season. Freddie has got quite some task ahead of him, but a good start could put him right in contention for the race win. It is time for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Okay, today's going to be tough with the grid penalty, but we are confident you can fight your way through the field. Come on, Freddie.
So the heavens have opened. It's a fitting return for the European season here at the Circuit de Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. Obviously, Freddie starting at the back of the grid as a result of his grid penalty, as the lights are out now and underway for the Spanish Grand Prix. Obviously starting just behind the two Red Bull Racing cars, having incredibly poor qualifying session. Also the CIS team as well, Carlos Sainz there getting a very poor launch, and already the Red Bull Racing cars are streaming straight past him. Obviously Freddie into turn 1 being fairly cautious. In fact, Ricciardo backing off very early on. Obviously the realistic damage mod enabled, Freddie needs to be cautious through these first few corners just to keep his front wing intact. You can see Ricciardo currently on the outside, almost squeezing us into the back of Felipe Massa Sauber. Ricciardo though is getting very, very tight in these opening few laps. It looks like Jenson Button actually has lost his front wing along with Max Verstappen, so already their races have taken a slight dent, but obviously with the rain expected to stop at some point during the Grand Prix, we should be seeing those guys come back through the field. And obviously we've just overtaken the Spaniard, the home favourite Fernando Alonso, now up the inside of Esteban Gutierrez and the Haas, and we're getting so close to the back of all these cars. Now Pascal Wehrlein in the Manor starting ahead of us. Obviously Manor having the best qualifying session of the season. A brilliant job from both those drivers to qualify 9th and 11th respectively. Thought about going for it there in the turn 7 and 8 chicane, but just thought better of it at that point. Many more opportunities in which to do so. In fact, we might even try and make a move around the outside. Oh my word. Brilliant move there from Freddie. Great composure, and just managed to hold him off there. Pascal Wehrlein going a little bit too cautious, I'd say, the Manor driver into the fast right-handers. Freddie is now eyeing up a move on the Haas F1 car of Romain Grosjean, but the Frenchman defends his lines for now, so we might try and seek the opportunity round the outside, see where Freddie can pull it off. Yes, he can, staying within the track limit, and he's now up into P11, only one position away from points. So what a start it's been, as he now dives down the inside of Rio Harrienton to the final chicane. He's already in the points after one lap, so what a start it has been. Just the AI cleaning up to speed in these intermediate conditions, but now looking on the pit straight, he's eyeing up the Brit, his fellow Brit, his compatriot Jolyon Palmer. Obviously Palmer this season has only got one points finish. That was obviously his podium that he got all the way back in Melbourne, and he still remained in the top 10 of the Drivers' Championship. So he's actually done an okay job this season, despite the fact he's only scored points in one race. But for Freddie, though, it's been an absolutely faultless start so far. Flawlessly made his way through the field. Now he has the Dane, Kevin Magnussen, ahead of him in the other Renault. Renault and obviously Manor have seemingly brought upgrades to this Spanish Grand Prix, and that's why they just seem to be so far up the field. Thankfully, this mod allows that to happen. I don't know if they'll be still up there for Monaco, but it's good to see just to change the pecking order for the Spanish Grand Prix. Obviously, there are many elements in this series that do, make this series really unpredictable and obviously quite enjoyable to watch. You can see making the move now up the inside of Magnussen, even before the chicane, as one car goes completely off the track. Nico Hulkenberg missing his braking point, locking up completely, and he is into the gravel trap. And it's going to be quite interesting to see how he rejoins, because obviously he's rejoining into quite a big group of cars.
That's the best start I've seen from you. Keep it up. The next car is Bottas.
Yep, so the next car is indeed Valtteri Bottas, the Finn, and it does seem as if we have actually lost one car, so that was interesting. I wonder whether Nico Hulkenberg rejoining the track had anything to do with that, as he put off a similar move on Bottas, like we did on Romain Grosjean on the previous lap. Another good move around the outside of the Finn, and next up ahead of us is the other Williams of Felipe Massa. Now, skipping on a little bit later, cutting into turn 1 on lap 3, we have overtaken the Brazilian up the inside. Now, we have set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, and Freddie is absolutely flying right now. You can see within striking distance is Sergio Perez, who obviously sealed a podium in the last race in Russia, and obviously Sebastian Vettel and the two Mercedes of Nico Rosberg and also Sebastian Vettel, as the safety car has indeed been deployed, as another car has seemingly retired. So this is sort of just going to neutralise the race for now, and as you can see, the safety car did go in. There wasn't really much to show you guys, because the safety car was out for the last 3 laps, and Freddie was on the back of Perez on the restart, tried to make a move around the outside. Obviously there wasn't quite enough room, so maybe next time he should go to the inside line and hopefully pull off the move on Perez. He should overtake Perez with ease. Perez doesn't really seem to have a huge amount of pace in these wet conditions, as Freddie runs off a little bit wide there. He's lost a tiny bit of time, but I'm sure his attack on Perez will resume very shortly. As you can see later on into the lap, he gets an insane run out of that corner into, I think it was turn 5 or turn 6, correct me if I'm wrong, but what an exit Freddie got there. Full traction, full grip more or less in comparison to Perez, and he's up into P4 now, just behind Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. Obviously, we had a few incidents with Vettel in Russia. When I say a few incidents, it seemed like a few incidents seeing the way the team reacted to that. But obviously, Vettel, we're going to put that behind us as we do dive it down the inside of the German driver, now up into P3. And just the pace advantage at the moment is absolutely incredible. I mean, I don't know why, but the AI, for some reason, are just very, very slow in the wet conditions on this mod. So, you know, at the moment, it just doesn't seem to be much of a challenge. We see the replay there, diving it down the inside of Sebastian Vettel, our teammate, into turn 1. We're going purple at the moment, but no longer, as Freddie makes a mistake into turn 4, goes in a little bit too hot when trying to overtake Nico Rosberg. He's now back down into P4 behind his teammate Sebastian Vettel, and he's just going to fend off Sergio Perez for now. But I think it's soon when we will be pitting in for another set of intermediate tyres. The rain doesn't seem to be clearing up just yet, but it should be in a few laps. Hopefully we'll get an update from our engineers soon.
Alright, box in this lap. The cars around us will be extending their stints by a few laps.
Yep, so pit in this lap for another set of intermediate tyres and hopefully gain on the guys who are extending their stints out by a few laps. Obviously, that includes Sebastian Vettel, obviously Nico Rosberg, and also Lewis Hamilton. We're going to have to wait and see how everything pans out. I think today could get a strong result. I think a podium is definitely possible so far. Our pace has been halted ever so slightly since we made that mistake, but I still think Freddie does have the advantage over the guys ahead of him, like Rosberg, like Hamilton, and obviously his teammate Sebastian Vettel. We're going to have to see what happens. We are going to rejoin towards the back of the field behind the two Haas F1 cars, and also I think the manner of Rio Harrington, rejoining just ahead of Marcus Ericsson. And obviously our next stop will be on lap 16, but hopefully by then the rain is going to clear out. It does seem to be lightening up a little bit in terms of the skies, and also the rain does seem to be kind of decreasing in intensity, so hopefully we will be on the dry tyres in around, I want to say just under 10 laps. I want to say hopefully that will happen, as we are now right on the back of the Mexican Esteban Gutierrez, make an easy move, stick around the outside. You can just see the superior grip, and obviously the newer tyres, just no match for the Haas F1 car. And now his teammate Roman Grosjean is just ahead of us. We're going to try and overtake him now. Grosjean going incredibly slowly actually out of the exit. And that's why, because Grosjean has suffered an engine failure. The Ferrari power unit has really let him down in that situation. The safety car has been deployed again, the second time in just under 10 laps. And this could actually work. An absolute treat for Freddie here. So that strategy call to come in on the last lap from the Ferrari team may pay dividends once again. Just look at the replay of the smoke coming out of Grosjean's car. But at the moment, on lap 11, it doesn't seem as if any car has pitted in. We are still in P10. Our teammate Sebastian Vettel was pitted in behind us. He is the only car to have pitted other than ourselves. So the Ferrari team have really made a clever call, and I just don't understand why the other teams haven't pitted in. It's only just Ferrari that have realised there's a safety car out and there's an opportunity to pit in for a new set of intermediate tyres before the conditions, well, before the track dries out considerably, meaning that we'd have to switch onto the dry compound. You can see Haryanto diving off into the pits along with a hell of a lot of other cars. So a little bit odd to say the least that this has happened. I think this could really benefit the Ferrari team here. We could be in a 1-2 situation will come when Hamilton and Rosberg pit in. So ultimately we're in a very strong position come the end of this race. We're not even halfway through yet, but an interesting thing to note is there's been more cars, there's fewer runners now. There's only 17 cars still running in this race, but it's not just Hamilton and Rosberg who haven't pitted in yet. The likes of Hulkenberg and also Jolyon Palmer are still out on the track, although I just want to correct myself. I believe Lewis Hamilton did pit in on the last lap. I think it's only Rosberg that's still out of the Mercedes team. We're going to try and make a move now round the outside of Nico Hulkenberg, setting purple sector 2 times as we do so, making the move easily round the outside of the Force India driver. Not really putting up too much of a fight is Nico Hulkenberg. There's obviously no point in risking losing his front wing over some silly incident when he's going to be pitting in on the same lap anyway. But now onto that 13, the pecking order is very, very interesting right now.
Another couple of laps and we'll switch you onto the dry tyres. The gap to Seb is currently 4.1 seconds.
So obviously, as I originally just said, the track is expected to dry up over the course of the next few laps, but the current pecking order is obviously Freddie in first, slowly edging away from his teammate Sebastian Vettel ever since Rosberg pitched in for his first scheduled stop, and currently Jensen Button is in third. But look on the minimap there, entering sector 3, there is a huge cluster of cars who are battling out for that final podium spot. Obviously Jensen Button is pretty much out of position in that group, and obviously Lewis Hamilton now has got up into third, and the safety car has been deployed. So obviously that group may have come together. A couple of those cars may have retired because they were in quite a big group there, and I wouldn't be too surprised the realistic damage mod if a couple of them fell victim to that, and Lewis Hamilton the obvious benefiter from that potential incident. So currently behind the safety car, and it looks pretty dry right now.
Okay, follow the safety car in. We'll put prime tyres on the car.
So Freddie more or less just preempted what the team were going to say, so it looks as if he almost made the decision himself before the Ferrari team actually confirmed that he should follow the safety car in, because he can clearly see, he can feel the conditions, even though he's not up to maximum speed yet. But I think this could really benefit him. He's going on to the prime tyres for around about a 10 lap stint, but obviously the conditions are more or less dry. The track is ready for the dry tyres, so Freddie's going to really gain. He could have a massive advantage if assuming the AI will all pit on the same lap for the dry tyres. Obviously, there's still a little bit of spray coming off the tyres, but realistically, he won't be suffering from any understeer or a lack of grip or anything like that. Freddie is currently setting the sector light, I think the fastest Sector 2 and Sector 3 on this lap alone, and look how far he is in the lead. On lap 18, he is absolutely bossing things so far, and Lewis Hamilton is in second and Felipe Massa in first. So Sebastian Vettel, our teammate, has lost out considerably, and that's why, because for some odd reason, the team have fitted him on the intermediate tyres, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And by the way, looking at that race director, Rio Haryanto is in 8th, so perhaps more points are on the cards for Mana in today's Grand Prix. Currently at the fast lap of the race, a 1 minute 29.3, but on our feet, on our tail, is Lewis Hamilton. 4.3 seconds is the gap to him. Felipe Massa a further 3.3 seconds behind. Look at that fastest lap. It's over a second quicker than our own, and a mistake like that from Freddie really is not going to help his cause, and Lewis Hamilton is now probably less than 2 seconds behind, so things going to get very tense. We could see a Gray-Hamilton battle, which we were so used to in Season 2. Let's hope that we can have another good one today. Lewis Hamilton now on the outside with the DRS, slipstreamed his way past the Ferrari driver into turn 1, and Lewis Hamilton now in the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix, also setting the fast lap at 1 minute 27 dead. That's just proof that the track is getting ever grippier, it's getting ever drier. I don't think there's really much water on the track at all, but I think the temperature beginning to rise ever so slightly. But to be honest, the track doesn't seem to be sort of lighting up. The skies have sort of stopped, so maybe we could see a little bit of rain later on. Sebastian Vettel, interestingly, our teammate, 1 minute 26.5, so he obviously pitting in a lap after everybody else because Ferrari screwed him over, is now really on the pace, but he's a lot further back than pretty much all of us would have hoped. So unfortunate for Seb, but looks like he won't be scoring too many points today. Now we are bearing down Lewis Hamilton. Can we overtake him into turn 1? We set a personal best of 1 minute 26.4, putting it back down to stand after running in rich mix on that back straight, and we are into the lead into turn 1 with Hamilton setting another fast lap at 1 minute 25.9. So this is really competitive at the moment. This is going to be very tense come the end. Lewis Hamilton and Freddie Gray really battling it out, nose to tail right now, just like we were so used to. Obviously, as I said, in Season 2, it's good to have these sort of battles, you know, sort of returning once again to this series. And obviously, Lewis Hamilton just making contact with Freddie's tyre there. Thankfully, nothing happening, no front wing damage or anything like that. But Felipe Massa, obviously Freddie's nearest championship rival, actually currently running in third, so another strong race for Massa so far, the Brazilian driver. Hamilton overtaking this then, Freddie backing off a little bit just to ensure he gets DRS on this pit straight here, so he can pull off and move into turn 1 and remain ahead for the next lap at least. That's what he's aiming to do anyway. Let's open up the DRS. Freddie is going to slipstream his way past. He's going to gain on Lewis Hamilton here. He might try and go to the outside, actually. I think that's what Freddie's going to do, and in fact he puts 2 wheels on the grass, and that means he needs to give the position back to Lewis Hamilton. A bit of an illegal move there. I'm not too sure why he did that. He should have really gone to the inside line. He tried a similar thing on Prez earlier. I think he just wants to try and make his overtakes, you know, that sort of more impressive to the team.
The radar is suggesting that another rain shower is due a few laps before the end.
So that is actually very interesting. I did comment earlier about the fact that the rain, or the fact that the clouds weren't getting any lighter and the sun didn't seem to be appearing at any point. But now onto lap 29, Lewis Hamilton's pulled away a huge amount. We do set the fastest lap, a 1 minute 24.7. Massa's still in third with Nico Hulkenberg in fourth. Freddie Gray setting the fastest lap, and the gap to Lewis Hamilton, it's stabilising at the moment, but look at it. The rain is now beginning to fall. The shower has come right at the end of the race, so this could make for a very tense ending here, guys. Obviously, you may notice a change in the compound. There was a pit stop a little bit earlier on. Freddie and Lewis Hamilton pitting at more or less the same time, but Hamilton in the last stint was on the option tyres. That's why he caught up with us so quickly, and that's why his pace was so electric. But Freddie on the option tyres now, with the rain beginning to fall, getting very heavy indeed. Things are going to get very interesting between Freddie and Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, it's the last lap now. The gap just seems that little bit too much. It's 3.6 seconds, and I think it may just be that little too big for Freddie to close down. But let's see what he can do in this final lap. We're going to go on board with him for the entirety of this ending to the Spanish Grand Prix. It's been another great race, a complete contrast to Russia. Obviously, a lot more overtaking action and excitement, guys. We have enjoyed it, obviously. Be sure to leave a like, but that is not the focus right now. We need to be focusing on this battle here. Lewis Hamilton Hamilton. Freddie is clutching him in, really sort of pulling him towards his car right now. Lewis Hamilton obviously being really halted by these wet conditions. Nico Hulkenberg, in fact, has moved up into third ahead of Felipe Massa. So another podium looks like for Force India to keep up their record of 4 consecutive third places in 4 races which they finished in the points. An absolutely astonishing achievement for actually still a relatively small team. But the focus turns to this lead battle. Now the gap is 1.5 seconds and Lewis Hamilton is literally right there. He is within striking distance now as we enter these last few corners. Freddie's going to be doing a lot of short shifting to maximise his traction from the exit of these remaining corners. But who will win this battle, guys, between Lewis Hamilton and Freddie Gray? It's been one of their many battles throughout this career mode. Who will come out on top here? Freddie trying his best. He looks like he could get a good run if he's going to short shift out the corner. He does so. He gets a huge amount of oversteer, but Lewis Hamilton very stealthy exit the final corner. Can Freddie pull alongside here? He's just about getting there. Can he do it before the line? Not quite. Hamilton actually pulls away. Oh my goodness me, what an ending.
Wow. We were literally on our feet ready to celebrate. What an ending that was. Unlucky, but a great drive considering the grid penalty.
I think in the end, that race, I think justice was done. I think Lewis Hamilton did kind of deserve the race win in the end, but look at that gap. 0.08 of a second behind Lewis Hamilton. Unbelievably close there between the two rivals. Nico Hulkenberg finishing in third with another podium for Force India. Great achievement for them. Our championship rival Felipe Massa in 4th place with Magnussen 5th, Vettel 6th, Button in 7th for McLaren, Gutierrez 8th, Bottas in 9th, and Rio Haryanto in the manner, rounding out the points in 10th place. Unbelievable. Now looking at the Drivers' Championship, Freddie Gray increased his lead by a total of 20 points. He is now on 90 with Felipe Massa now on 70 points. Lewis Hamilton obviously was 65. He is really caught up now in 3rd place. Obviously after the win he sealed in today's Spanish Grand Prix. He now has a total of 65 points, has moved ahead of the other Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel. Obviously Vettel did not have the best of race today. At one point it looked like Ferrari were almost going to get a 1-2, but then I'm not sure what the Ferrari team were doing, but obviously that little incident where they put him on the intermediate tyres for some absurd reason obviously ruined his race. That's what it ended up being. Nico Hulkenberg in 5th, keeping up forcing his record of a podium in every race they've scored points in. Unbelievable. Hulkenberg overtaking Felipe Massa with just a few laps to go. He is on 35 points with his teammate Sergio Perez in 6th place. Unfortunately, Perez had a crash with Rosberg earlier on in the race, and that was why he retired, and he is on 31 points now behind his teammate. Max Verstappen in 7th with 20, and Jenson Button with actually a very good result today. At one stage he was in 3rd, but then obviously inevitably dropped back and managed to seal a total of 6 points in 7th place, and Jolyon Palmer still up there in 9th place despite the fact he hasn't scored any points since Melbourne. Just that podium he got is enough to have kept him in the top 11 for all this time. For Renault today, it was almost a very similar story to the real-life Russian Grand Prix, where both Magnussen and Palmer were quite high up in the early stages. Magnussen remained there, but Palmer obviously must have struggled with the tyre wear and just dropped back quite considerably. But I think in this case, Palmer sort of had to suffer in the pit stop where Renault obviously double stacked, I assume. So Palmer in 9th with Rosberg in 10th, obviously retiring once again today, with Carlos Sainz in 11th place. Now in the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari are absolutely bossing it at the moment, over 50 points ahead, in fact over 60 points ahead. It's a crazy lead at the moment, in fact I might even be 70 points ahead. Really are doing absolutely a brilliant job at the moment. It looks like really they aren't going to be beaten this season. Looks like it's just going to be a fight for the driver's standings unless any other team like Williams or Mercedes or even Force India could do anything about that. Williams still in 2nd, Mercedes really catching them up now on 79 points. Force India in 4th with 66. There's a huge gap of over 30 points back to Toro Rosso in 5th, and Renault actually, I believe that's actually them moving up ahead of McLaren back to Magnussen's result today. McLaren in 7th obviously with Button's points, so both McLaren and Renault picking up some very decent results today, and I think they should be both pretty pleased with their performances today. And Red Bull in 8th, both drivers retiring, and obviously a very poor qualifying. So Red Bull having quite a difficult time so far, and Haas still in 9th with the 16 points. Obviously Manor in 10th, getting that extra point today thanks to Rio Haryanto. Who would have thought of that? Oh my word. And obviously Sauber still with that single point thanks to Felipe Massa all the way back in Melbourne. But guys, if you have enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and leave your comments down below, leaving your thoughts in regards to today's race. And yes guys, I will see you next time for the Monaco Grand Prix. It's going to be a good one. Bye bye.